Welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Frama Panyi, and my sign language interpreter is Hannah Olayenka. Let's begin with the headlines. Trump signs bill to end U.S. government shutdown. Africa Union and United Nations reaffirm strategic partnership to advance peace, security, and sustainable development. Nigeria and Austria set to deepen media relations to tackle challenge of fake news and misinformation within global media landscape. And President Bola Tinubu is again calling on Nigerians to collectively invoke the patriotic spirit towards consolidating the country's greatness and ensure protection of its sovereignty. It was at the presentation of research paper by participants of National Defense College Course 33 in the State House. Details of that report will come subsequently. The Africa Union, AU, and United Nations, UN, reaffirmed their strategic partnership to advance peace, security, and sustainable development during the 9th Annual Conference at UN headquarters. AU Commission Chairperson Mahmoud Ali Yusuf and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres co-chaired the meeting, expressing alarm over persistent armed conflicts, humanitarian crises, and the weakening of international law. They stressed that political solutions through preventive diplomacy, mediation, and dialogue remain essential. The leaders reviewed progress under 3 joint AU-UN frameworks covering peace and security development and human rights. They welcomed continued support for African-led peace efforts in Sudan, South Sudan, Somalia, Libya, the Great Lakes region, the Sahel, and the Horn of Africa. Financing for AU-led peace operations authorized under UN Security Council Resolution 2719-2023 was a key focus. Both sides urged faster implementation of their joint roadmap and highlighted cooperation on digital transformation, climate action, and inclusive growth, including the Digital Transformation Strategy for Africa and the G20's AI for Africa initiative. The role of women and youth in building peace and prosperity was emphasized with praise for the AU's new Convention on Ending Violence Against Women and Girls. And President Donald Trump has signed a bill to end the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. Francis Udojo has details.
Donald Trump, while signing the bill, said the U.S. current leadership is sending a clear message that they will never give in to extortion. He said the action is a continuation of funding. Yet, the extremists in the other party insisted on prolonging the shutdown in the American history. This, he said, is purely for political reasons. Trump's action came as the House of Representatives backed the bill 222 to 209 after the Senate approved it 60-40 earlier this week, a knife-edge vote that saw a handful of Democrats join Republicans to end the shutdown.
With my signature, the federal government will now resume normal operations, and my administration and our partners in Congress will continue our work to lower the cost of living, restore public safety, grow our economy, and make America affordable again.
Both sides blamed each other for 43-day stalemate, which saw government services in crisis mode. Republicans had pushed for a bill to keep funding the same, while Democrats wanted to tie it to healthcare. The Democrats, who crossed the floor, said they did so in exchange for a promise of a vote on healthcare subsidies in December. The new bill will only last till January 30. Francis Udojo, NT News.
And the South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has sacked one of his 5 vice presidents amid escalating internal conflict. And Tanzania's President Hassan nominates next prime minister. Again, let's hear from Francis Udojo.
South Sudan's Benjamin Bull Mel was appointed in February and has been widely rumored to be Kerr's preferred successor. The vice president was also stripped of his position as deputy leader of the ruling Sudan People's Liberation Movement, SPLM party, was demoted from general to private in the National Security Service. No reason was given for his sack and no successor has been named. Bull Mel has been under United States sanctions for alleged corruption since 2017, and a recent United Nations report accused companies affiliated with him of receiving $1.7 billion for road construction work that was never done. He has never directly responded to corruption accusations made against him. President Kerr also fired the governor of the central bank and the head of the revenue authority, both seen as close to Bull Mel. These latest changes in the upper ranks of South Sudan's government came at a time when questions are being asked about Kerr's succession amid fears of a return to civil war. Meanwhile, former finance minister Mwigulu Nchemba is set to become Tanzania's new prime minister after being nominated by President Samia Suluhu Hassan. Parliament is expected to approve the nomination when it votes on Thursday. The appointment comes in the wake of Hassan's controversial victory in last month's presidential election. The United Nations says hundreds of people were killed in the demonstrations. Hassan has come under international criticism for her handling of the protest. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
And Nigeria has reaffirmed strong commitment to the Fisheries Committee for the West Central Gulf of Guinea, highlighting the growing importance of the blue economy to national development. The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adeboyega Oyetola, stated this at the 16th Conference of Ministers of FCWC in Lagos, where he also emerged as the new chairman of the regional body. Chukunonso Nwaweze reports.
With the theme, Securing Our Ocean Future, People, Resources and Commitments, the high-level regional meeting brought together ministers and senior officials from FCWC member states, including Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Liberia, Nigeria and Togo, alongside representatives of regional institutions, international partners and maritime experts. Minister of Marine and Blue Economy Adeboyega Oyetola, while underscoring Nigeria's commitment to advancing collective action against illegal, unreported and unregulated IUU fishing, called for strengthened joint patrols, harmonized regulations, real-time intelligence sharing and coordinated enforcement mechanisms among member states.
We recognize that the well-governed and secure maritime space is essential to food security, job creation, and long-term economic resilience. Our goal is to build a resilient, inclusive, and environmentally responsible blue economy that contributes meaningfully to national growth and regional stability.
Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing continues to rob our region of billions of dollars every year. Beyond the numbers, IUU fishing threatens the very fabric of our coastal communities.
The conference, which was preceded by a series of technical sections, climaxed with the election of Nigeria's Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adeboyega Oyetola, as the regional body's new chairman. The 17th Conference of Ministers of FCWC will be held in Togo. Chukunonso Nwaweze, NTA News.
Austria and Nigeria are set to deepen media relations to tackle the challenge of fake news and misinformation within the global media landscape. This was the outcome of an engagement between the Director General of Voice of Nigeria, Jibrin Babandache, and the Austrian Ambassador to Nigeria and 6 other African countries, Peter Guschebelwa, in Abuja.
As fake news continues to pose serious challenge to informed citizenship and public trust in the media, the Director General of Voice of Nigeria, Von Jibrin Babandache, and his team are here at the Austrian Embassy in Abuja to seek collaboration with the embassy and the country's public media outfits in combating false or misleading informations presented as authentic news.
To work with you in the fight against misinformation, disinformation, and even outright lies through partnership with similar media, and also seek support in terms of capacity building for our colleagues in areas of AI and other new technology.
Ambassador Peter Goshebauer, while stating his country's commitment to partnering the voice of Nigeria in deepening her media relations with Nigeria, stressed that Europe, just like other parts of the world, is faced with the challenge of disinformation, hence the need for a strategic synergy in countering its narratives.
We're keen to work together to tackle these sources of disinformation. Media has to play a very important role here in order to make sure that the citizens of our democracies are well informed and have an objective view about what is happening in the world.
The media collaboration is expected to provide a pivotal opportunity for the two nations to leverage their respective strengths towards addressing the scourge of fake news and disinformation, a major global threat to democracy and stability. Chukunonsonwa Bweze, NTA News.
Still talking information, the federal government wants stakeholders in the advertising industry to sustain efforts in building Nigeria as a brand of prosperity and not a land of crisis. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, at the 5th National Advertising Conference in Abuja says the engagement with the international community, including the United States, is working on addressing current challenges misbranding Nigeria. Salihu Abdullahi Kwanara reports.
Since 2019, this annual platform by the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria has been equipping stakeholders with necessary information needed to address challenges, discuss trends, and set targets. Stakeholders at the 5th edition with the theme Marketing Communication Transforming Businesses and Creating Growth in Challenging Times are united in their desire to sustain the culture of innovative ways of building reputable brands.
This conference is our own industry convergence to unlearn and relearn better ways of getting out of the very best research in our various business.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation believes participants as custodians of national perception and image should focus on building brands that will project unity and fight falsehood.
When false narratives about Nigeria are spread, especially internationally and also intentionally, it is your creativity, your strategy, and your storytelling that can counterbalance them with truth, with context, and compelling narratives of hope and progress. We need a communication renaissance, one that emphasizes facts over fear, unity over division, and truth over propaganda. We must project Nigeria as it is, a diverse, dynamic, and resilient nation of hard-working people who coexist peacefully, aspire collectively, and strive daily to build a better society.
He emphasized that Nigeria is not a violator of religious freedom.
Let me state clearly and emphatically that this narrative is false. It is a distortion of our reality as a nation of diverse peoples and faith who have lived together peacefully for generations.
Advertisers, media owners, and independent producers are under the same roof created by the regulator in Abuja. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Senate is in the process of repealing and reenacting the Nigeria's Armed Forces Act, part of which makes provision to prohibit enlistment of persons below 18 years in the military. This is in alignment with the Child Rights Act and international humanitarian standards. Other proposals in the bill seek extension of protections and rights to non-commissioned officers to boost morale and fairness. The bill, sponsored by Senator Abdulaziz Yaradua, also seeks to reinforce the President's constitutional authority as Commander-in-Chief and vest the day-to-day operational command in the Chief of Defense Staff. When passed and assented to, qualified military lawyers will be able to represent the armed forces in civil courts.
The armed forces of Nigeria remain the cornerstone of our sovereignty and national security. They have stood gallantly in defense of our nation, from combating insurgency and terrorism to peacekeeping across Africa. However, the existing Armed Forces Act, rooted in a 1960s military decree and last consolidated in 2004, no longer meets today's realities.
Right, we'll take a short break. More reports right after. Thanks for staying tuned. Now, judicial officers of superior courts across the country will in the coming days converge in Abuja to brainstorm on issues relating to enhancing public confidence in the judiciary as the third arm of government. Administrator of National Judicial Institute, Justice Babatunde Adejumo, disclosed this in Abuja. The 2025 All Nigerian Judges Conference will be a judicial introspection on how best to reinforce judicial independence and enhance ethical standard. The Officer of the Temple of Justice will also take a critical look at the ways of ensuring the courts remain accessible, transparent, and responsive to the need of the people.
The theme of this year's conference is building a competent judiciary, which is both timely and compelling. Without having confidence in the judiciary, the only alternative is anarchy.
Justice Adejumo maintains that the NJI, as the training arm of the judiciary, is committed to equipping judicial officers with knowledge required to meet the challenges of modern adjudication. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority is assuring the general public of adequate supply of petroleum products in the country within the acceptable national sufficiency threshold during this peak demand period. A statement by George Eneita, Director of Public Affairs Department, NMDPRA, says there is robust domestic supply of petroleum products, including diesel, petrol, and liquefied petroleum gas, sourced from both local refineries and importation to ensure timely replenishment of stocks at storage depot and retail stations during and after festive peak periods. The authority therefore cautioned against hoarding, panic buying, or non-market reflective escalation of prices of petroleum products. The statement also said the implementation of the 15% ad valorem per import duty on imported premium motor spirit and diesel is no longer in view. NMDPRA said they will continue to closely monitor the supply situation and take appropriate regulatory measures to prevent disruption of supply and distribution of petroleum products across the country during the end-of-year peak demand period. The federal government has announced plans to rehabilitate existing dams and construct new ones to boost irrigation farming and hydropower generation across the country. This was made known by the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsef, while on an assessment tour of the Azare-Jeri irrigation project and the Gurara multipurpose dam in Kaduna State, along with the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry and some technical directors. Osman Zubairu reports.
This is the Gurara multipurpose dam constructed by the Federal Ministry of Water Resources for power generation, water supply and agricultural activities. The dam is designed to hold about 9 million cubic meters of water. Here is the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Yusuf, on an assessment tour of the facility. He was taking around the dam, power generation and irrigation units. The aim is to assess existing facilities, determine their current status, identify potential challenges for prompt intervention. The facility manager of the Azare-Jeri irrigation project and Gurara multipurpose dam, Ghazali Muhammad Tukur, told the minister that insecurity remained a major challenge affecting the smooth operation of the facilities. However, the management team is committed to fulfilling its mandate of supplying water to farmers and the Federal Capital Territory. The minister revealed that several multipurpose dams have been recommended for rehabilitation, while new ones also will be reconstructed, including those along the Sokoto-Badagry Highway to scale up irrigation farming and contribute more hydropower to the national grid. He emphasized that the federal government will increase investment in dam maintenance to maximize its capacity for food production, while assuring stakeholders that President Tinubu is committed to ensuring Nigeria achieve food security and pledging full support to this goal.
We believe that by the time these dams are being rehabilitated, more jobs will be created, there will be more room for irrigation farming, and the economy of this nation will be enhanced. So that is why we are moving around the country, and that is the reason why we are here also today to assess this facility.
The Gurara Multipurpose Dam and Azerije Irrigation Project were developed by the Federal Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation with some component concession to Grimes and Eben for management and maintenance under a public-private partnership arrangement. Osman Zberu, NTA News.
Mentorship provides an avenue for transferring knowledge, experience, and teaching for proper development. The Director General, National Biosafety Management Agency, Bello Bawa Buhari, at the Nigerian Mentorship Youth and Entrepreneurship Forum in Abuja, described mentorship as key to development. Haman Jabani reports.
The roundtable, which brought together young entrepreneurs, inventors, and mentors from across the country, discussed ways of enhancing youth capacity through guided learning and practical exposure. Director General, National Biosafety Management Agency, Bello Bawa Buhari, notes that mentorship goes beyond giving advice. Rather, it is a deliberate process of sharing real-life experiences and lessons that shape the next generation.
Mentorship is clearly about teaching and development. So don't get it wrong. You must learn. One of the most successful models we have had in this country is the Igbo culture of the Nwa boy. Why is it that as a country we have not been able to model all of that? Majorly it is because of the lack of discipline amongst us.
This is a very nice initiative that we want our youth to bring, to come out with, so that they will not be dependent on government. Let them create something, so that we now see how we can assist them without even bothering themselves about any government job.
Speakers emphasize that consistency is the foundation to success.
With the right training, access to capital, and supportive policies, our youth can transform ideas into enterprises that create jobs and reduce poverty.
This program should provide us knowledge and technical know-how of leadership and entrepreneurship for having a better society. Leverage from the experience and knowledge of stakeholders and ourselves to see how we can make this country a greater one.
The forum underscores the importance of collaboration between public institutions and youth-focused organizations in promoting entrepreneurship and leadership development. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
Tackling the myriads of challenges confronting the nations, civil society organizations insist can be feasible when parents and religious institutions uphold values to build future leaders who will shun acts capable of tarnishing the reputation of the nation. Elizabeth Omori reports that was the position of the Nigerian police, CSOs and other key actors advancing nation building in all spheres at a forum in Abuja.
Building a better nation, civil society organizations say involves collective responsibility, and this forum aims to inspire attitudinal change, promote national values, and drive innovations to foster growth and combat corruption.
Instead of being the problem to the society, we rather become a problem solver to the nation. So I believe other youth out there should see the opportunity that we have in the nation and key into government policies and programs instead of being an agent of criminalities.
To keep doing our best, that regardless of the fact that people are not following you with camera, Nigerians are watching you carefully.
CP Ifeanyi Uche from the Nigeria Police Cybercrime Unit highlighted the devastating impact of cybercrime, calling it a silent pandemic affecting individuals, families, and the nation.
Android phones for children of 10, 15, 13 years to do what? Now, at the end of the day, you as a parent, you don't even monitor the activities, the online activities of your wards of all your children. We need to work with the law enforcement agencies to ensure that we nip this problem on the bud.
Other issues raised include peer pressure, lack of digital literacy, and get-quick-rich syndrome. They suggest parental guidance and transparency in governance. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
And this is where we end the news. I am Frama Panyi, and my sign language interpreter is Hannah Olayanka. Thanks for watching.